soles of Emma's shoes stuck to the last two steps as rubber melted against metal. What had once been rows of bookshelves was now a maze of flames. Even Papa hesitated before the seemingly impassable blaze. But there was nowhere else to go. The fire was alive, cracking and popping and hissing and roaring so loud it seemed like an actual beast. "Go!" he shouted, and his grip tightened around her, pulling her forward. Together they ran between columns of fire that had once been shelves of books. An ear-shattering crack came from above, spurring them to the front as fire and sparks poured down behind them. Emma ran faster than she ever had before, faster than she knew herself capable. Papa's arm at her side yanked her this way or that, navigating through the fiery chaos, until there was nowhere to go. Papa roared louder than the fire beast and released her, running toward the blazing door. It flew open at the impact, revealing clean, sunny daylight outside. He turned toward her even as she rushed after him and grabbed her around the shoulders, hauling her into the street. Emma gulped in the clean air, reveling in the cool dampness washing into her tortured lungs. A crowd had gathered, staring up at the tower bookshop. Some came to Emma and Papa, asking in a frenzy of voices if they were hurt. In the distance came the scream of emergency sirens. Sirens Emma had heard her entire life, but had never once needed herself. There was need now. She held on to Papa's hand and looked behind her at the building that had been in her family for 2 generations and was meant to become hers someday. Her gaze skimmed over the bookshop to the top 2 floors where their home had once been. The fire beast gave a great heaving howl and the top floor crumpled. Someone grabbed her from behind, dragging her back as the rest of the structure came down, ripping her hand from her father's. She didn't reach for him again, unable to move, unable to think, her eyes fixed on the building as it crashed in on itself in a fiery heap. Their livelihood, their home. All the pictures of her mother who had died after Emma was born. All the books she and her father had lovingly selected from bookshops around England on the trips they'd taken together. Everything they'd ever owned. Gone. Emma choked on a sob at the realization. Everything was gone. "We need a doctor!" A man's voice broke through her horror, pulling her attention to her father. He lay on the ground, motionless. Soot streaked his handsome, slender face, and his thick grey hair that had once been the same shade of chestnut as hers was now singed in blackened tufts. "Papa?" She sagged to the ground beside him. His eyes lifted to her, watery blue and filled with a love that made her heart swell. The breath wheezed from his chest like a kettle's cry. "You're safe." Once the words left his mouth, his body relaxed, going slack. "Papa?" Emma cried. This time his eyes did not meet hers. They looked through her, sightless and empty. She shuddered at how unnatural he appeared, like her father and yet not like her father. "Papa?" The wailing sirens were still too far off. "I'm a doctor." A man knelt on the other side of her father. His fingers went to Papa's blackened neck, and the man's sad brown eyes turned up to her. "I'm sorry, love. He's gone." Emma stared at the man, refusing to believe her ears, even as she saw the truth. It had always just been Emma and her father, the 2 of them against the world, as Papa used to say. They read the same books to discuss together. They worked every day at the bookshop together, friends and colleagues as much as they were father and daughter. Once Emma had completed her schooling, she'd even travelled with him, curating books like the first editions they were still waiting on to arrive from Newcastle. Now that beautiful light that shone in his eyes had dulled. Lifeless. It was no longer Papa and her against the world. He was gone. Their shop was gone. Their home was gone. Everything she knew and loved was gone. 1. Nottingham, England. August, 1939. Emma Taylor hugged the first edition copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland against her chest and strode determinedly down Pelham Street, finally arriving at the pawn shop. The book was one of the precious 5 delivered from Newcastle a month after her father's death. 8 years had passed since then, just after the shop burned down.